Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of History You Didn't Know But Should. I'm Ray,
And I'm Chris.
and it is October, one of my favorite times of the year, and one of Mr. Chris's least favorite times of the year when the podcast turns on the spooky music and starts looking at those, let's just simply say, not your living history, not the
Yes,
history of those living.
it's scary tober when it comes to our podcast. And some people would think, oh, that means that it's going to be a creepy tale in which they do videos that show their faces. But instead, it's not us showing our faces, it's us telling wonderful, beautiful stories of scary tales that have come from the very strange brain of Dr. Ray Shepard.
Yes, indeed. Emphasis on the word strange there. That does it. And the one we're going to talk about today, and for our listeners this month, what we're really going to be focusing on is North Carolina spooky history. We're not going to be going to DC or anything. We're going to stick right here in the old North State, the old Tar Heel State, and we're going to look at ghost stories from this state. And the first one, the one we're going to talk about today, is one I had never heard of until about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I thought we have got to do a episode, an October episode on this one because this one is just simply too good. And it's one of those, this is history you didn't know but should. This is one of those ghost stories maybe you didn't know. And I'm less than 30 minutes down the road from where this happened, and I had never heard of it until I saw it on some website somewhere, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, we've got to do that."
And not only is this just like one of those spooky, scary stories, but this is a spooky, scary story that has real life details. I mean, there's like legitimate evidence that the individual who thought he saw what he saw actually makes a phone call that was recorded, and so the evidence is there that this person truly believed that what he saw took place. And so you have to give credence to the fact that in real time you can basically hear what is transpiring with this man as he's going down the road. And Ray, as we share this podcast, it is cold outside, it's getting darker, and I'm getting ready to travel down a spooky, dark road tonight. And the one thing I'm thinking is, here we go, talking about this story about a man who's down one of those rural roads of North Carolina. The only difference between him and I is I don't have a truck with a bed that allows something to jump in it.
Yeah. So where we're going is we're going back to, I believe the year was 2021. So it's just a few years ago, July of 2021. There's a gentleman, the name I could find was, I guess his nickname T, as in Tom. He's riding down NC 210 through Pender County. Now, that's actually a quite important location because you do have some Civil War history in that area, but more importantly, you have Revolutionary War history because right there's where Moores Creek is, Moores Creek's battlefield. And we've done an episode on Moores Creek some years ago on this podcast. So if you're interested more in Moores Creek, sort of the first battle of the American Revolution here in North Carolina, go back and listen to that episode. I think it's pretty good. But he's driving along NC 210 in Pender County, North Carolina, and it's late at night. It's dark. And if you know Pender County, when you get out in rural Pender County, Chris, there is nothing. I mean, the only light you're going to have is that on a house, on a truck, on a car. Other than that, it's moon and stars. That's all you're going to get. But he's riding down this road and he sees something off the side of the highway on the right-hand side of the highway. And he initially thinks, what is that? As he gets closer, it's a bleeding person, a person who appears to be bleeding. And he says that it looks like he's a Civil War era soldier. Now, this, I don't know how this man identified a Civil War era soldier, where it is. It could have been a Rev War era soldier, but he says that he's this man appeared to be bleeding and appeared to be a soldier from the Civil War era. And this is just where it begins, Chris. That's just the beginning of the next few minutes of terror that this man's going to experience.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, first of all, that when he saw it, it must have been extremely lifelike to him to the point where he picks up the phone. It wasn't like an apparition. It wasn't something that's like, maybe I saw that or maybe I didn't. The man honestly believed what he saw, and so he does. He calls 911, and yet, as he is recounting what he has seen, it's just about a minute later, and all of a sudden, there is a very loud thump that takes place. And the dispatcher is like, what's going on? And he's like, it's in the back of my truck. It's in the back of my truck. And he keeps saying, it's not a man. It's not human. There is something in the back of my truck. And he does what I would have done. He floors that thing. I would have let that thing go as fast as anything. I mean, I would have just gone. And so you've got the 911 person who's asking for some more information or whatever it is. And so what he does after he's accelerating, he then slams on the brakes, and that thing comes out of the bed, hits the roof,
Mhm.
goes to the front of the truck, and then onto the road. And he does what I would have done again, floor that thing and just keep on going. And you've got a dispatcher saying, well, tell me what it looks like, tell me what's going on. And he's like, listen, I'm telling you what it was, and I don't want anything to do with it. I need police officer, and I need EMS. I need somebody here
Yeah.
quick. And the dispatcher's thinking it's like a deer, maybe it's a turkey, it's some kind of animal that's jumped in the back of the truck or whatever. And so, he's really stressing over this. And what is it? He drives for about a few more minutes, I think, and pulls over at some convenience store or something where he's met with a police officer and an EMT. And Ray, they're kind of like doubting his story, don't really, okay, whatever, what's going on. But then upon closer inspection, the one thing that the police officer notices is that there are some scratches on the top of the truck that hadn't been there before. And well, that just kind of causes things to begin to say, oh, maybe there's some truth in this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. He sees this person on the side of the road. He calls 911, as you said. And one of the things, Chris, that when I listen to the call, and we're not going to play the call on here, it's just simply, trying to stay away from any copyright issues or anything. But you can go on YouTube and listen to the call. One thing, Chris, that frustrated me about the call, the 911 call, is that the operator is frustratingly calm and continues to ask questions that I was like, if I'm on the other side of the phone, if I'm T, I'm hanging up the phone at that point because I'm like, this is not getting me any help. And at one point, and I think you already mentioned this, he starts screaming into the phone, it's not human. It's not human. Talking about it when it had gone from the side of the road appearing to be a human with blood on them, maybe Civil War, Rev War era, and now it's in the back of the truck and it's banging, as you said, Chris. He's banging and banging on the back of that truck. And brother, I want to tell you, I love a good horror movie, but at that point, my little silver car, it would have been doing some time down that road, and I would not have stopped. I would not have stopped
Yeah, I mean,
going.
nor would I have gone back when the officer said, take me
No.
back to where he saw it. I said, you can go on back, but I wouldn't have. But to just help people understand what it was that he saw, he gave a description, and he basically says it was a super scrawny,
Yep.
long body. And, he says, listen, I'm 5'10". The truck is about 2 inch taller than I am. He says, this thing is easily like maybe 7 feet tall. And his words were, it looked like somebody took a normal human and stretched them out, starting with the limbs, abnormally long legs and arms, and he describes it as just, I'm seeing these people now. It used to be, Ray, that people would just decorate for Christmas. They put Santa Claus out in their yard.
Right.
And now they are putting these, and I forget what you call them, but these very large uh,
Hmm.
animatronic things that have these, oh, what do you call not the pickaxe, not the machete, but the
Yeah.
the the,
I
the
know.
death thing,
The sickle.
Sith or something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I mean they're like 7, 8, 9. I mean they're taller than some houses, and so I imagine in that is kind of something like he saw, and I look at this and I think, okay, it's one thing to see a roadside ghost, if you will. You talk about maybe it was a Civil War soldier, it's one thing to see it. It is another thing when you have it in the back of your truck and you have it that I love how he says it just kind of rolled off
Hmm.
rolls off the front of the truck and stands up and just runs into the woods. It's like, you can't keep a good man down. I mean, it just gets it keeps on trucking, and it's one thing to see the ghost. It's another thing to have the ghost taking a ride with you.
Well, when I first heard the story, I've been down that road. I've been in this particular area. I was in this area just earlier last week, and I was looking at the surroundings, thinking about this story. And, if it's dark, it's night, what other explanations could there be? And Chris, one thing that really, the pounding on the back, the hood of the truck, I guess you could say, one thing that I thought, well, that would work with part of it is a bear. There are bears in southeastern North Carolina. There are big bears in southeastern North Carolina. And, part of me sort of wonders if maybe that's what this man would had encountered, maybe because of the lighting or whatever. Um, but when he stopped, the bear was able to get into the vehicle, and that was what the pounding was on the roof. I don't know that. Of course, it doesn't fit the pale, elongated figure, 7 feet tall with thin and natural limbs. That's not a bear, but at least the bear sort of fits the hitting the top of the roof, maybe.
Yeah, and it's history you didn't know but should, because there's a lot of people who are not aware of this story, but then there are some who really kind of eat it up and they start looking in it, and I'm a little confused because off the air, I was talking about, yes, they call it the Carolina Pale Crawler. And
Hmm.
then, you said, yes, I've also heard it kind of being called as the rake.
Hmm.
And I really didn't. I'm not a sci-fi guy. I'm not the scary guy. I don't really get into all aliens and all of that stuff. But when you mentioned the rake, there's meaning behind that. There's something that comes along with calling it a rake, and I found that to be very. I thought when he was describing it, I was like, okay, he's got abnormally long arms and legs, and it kind of resembles that of like a hoe or a garden rake or something like that. But there's actually significant, I guess, what do you call it? Like in the monster world, there's these things that are called rakes. Are you familiar with that?
Not really.
Well, I can let you know that there is a whole genre of rakes, and rakes are also known as made-up monsters, and they are also called the tall man, and it comes from the fact that it has rake-like claws, and this kind of goes back to I think 2005 when they were kind of doing some stories and things of that nature, and so it's supernatural, it's menacing, and it's one of those forms. It's kind of like Bigfoot. You think you see him, but you don't know that you see him. It's just that kind of blurry kind of look. But you have this story that comes about that talks about here is this rake. But what I don't understand is, how do you call him a pale crawler? I understand that he was pale, but he didn't really do anything but crawl. I mean, he got hit and he stood up and kept running.
Hmm.
But Ray, I can tell you, as we're getting older and it gets harder to see at night and things of that nature. And I guess I'm getting older and I know the deer are starting to come out. And if I'm on these rural roads, I find myself, constantly looking to my left, looking to my right, kind of looking, to see if anything's coming or whatever. And I can just imagine the fear that must have been on this man because what do you do? I mean, first of all, you think you see something, okay, whatever, I'm just going to keep on going. But then you hear it in the back of your truck.
Mhm.
You can't stop. You can't. I mean, what do you like? I would have to get every nitro pill that I have and start taking it because I can tell you that would haunt me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, it would like I said earlier, I would just hit the gas and go. You're talking about deer. I drove into town a little while ago, and I was on one of these back rural roads, and I see a deer cross ahead of me, so I really slowed down to about 20 miles an hour. Notice nobody around me, and as the deer stands on the left side of the road, I'm headed forward. He's on my left, or she's on my left. And as I ride through, I look back in the rearview mirror, and there comes another one, and then the two run off into the woods. So, whether it's bear, whether it's deer, or a host of other things that come out of the woods in really rural areas, you don't want to encounter something you don't want to encounter one of those necessarily in the wrong situation, but you certainly don't want to encounter something you can't identify. And this T guy, the guy who was driving the truck that night, I think he's a local. I don't think he was someone just driving through. So he's familiar with the area, and this whatever it was I said earlier could have been a bear. I don't know, but whatever it was scared the poop out of him, and I bet he doesn't drive down that road at night by himself anymore.
And I can tell you, I did a Google search of a rake, a monster rake or a pail crawler.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at that and it gives me the heebie-jeebies just looking at the picture sitting in my chair in a well-lit office. I mean the eyes that are protruding out of this, if I was to see something like that on the side of the road, I do not even know how I would be able to react. Did it happen? I don't know if it
Oh my
happened.
gosh.
Have you? Yeah, you looking at it
I
now?
just looked at it. Oh dear, no.
And you're the one who likes scary stuff and listen
No.
to you say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at this going, okay, if I'm riding down there, if I'm this guy and I'm riding down the road and this thing gets up off the road and looks at me like that, no. I don't have I don't have nitroglycerin, but I'd be sucking on an albuterol inhaler, that's for sure. But that would be after going 110 miles an hour out of the area.
Yes. And do you think I would go back to the location where I
No,
saw that thing?
day or night, I'd be gone. I'd never go back there again.
And that is what the police officer asked this man to do. Asked him to go back to the spot where he saw it. And then, Ray, when they get to the spot where they saw it, they get out of the car and they look around. I have no idea what they were thinking. But I can tell you, Chris Carroll is not going back. I can also tell you that, Ray, this will not be a podcast that we do on location.
No, 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 no. Maybe in the middle of the day I'd do it, but I wouldn't do it. But you
No.
know what? You go up there, and you've been to Morse Creek, haven't you?
Uh,
This is right where Morse Creek is, and you go up there. I mean, I've never been up there at night, but I could see being up there at night. I mean, rake or no rake, that would be very, very scary.
As a high school administrator, we travel this road to go to
Right,
games.
right.
I've been down this road. I was looking at the map to see exactly where it was on 210.
Mm-hmm.
Go by it probably 4 times a year
Mm-hmm.
at night. And now I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get somebody else to take that one. I mean, because I know where this location is, and I'm just thinking that is a very narrow road, first of
Yeah.
all. It's a very desolate road. I bless the people who live near that area. And, I will just say it's a great introduction to Spooktober. where we really have something that is backed up by fact. There are 911 calls in which this individual is explaining what he has seen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, very interesting.
History you didn't know, as far as Chris is concerned, devolves into Spooktober. Spooktober. So well, that's an interesting one to start. We've got some more. We've got another one in the pipeline that Chris has recommended, which I'm very proud because he usually
Thank you.
doesn't recommend these type of episodes, but he did. So we're going to go with that one on the next episode of History You Didn't Know But Should. Uh, Please share this podcast with your family, share it with your friends. Give us a like on Spotify, give us a like on YouTube, give us a like on whatever platform you're listening to History You Didn't Know but should on. But also, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, hit that subscribe button. That's very important. Until next time, I'm Ray.
And I'm Chris.
We'll talk to you later.